Okay, welcome to a new video, guys. I'm sitting here with Oscar, or as most people know him as LVN, the CSGO pro player, or now Counter-Strike 2 pro player, as I should say, since we are in a new game. So how are you doing, Oscar?
I'm doing good, thank you. It's been a good day so far.
Glad to hear, glad to hear. So, I mean, as we all know now, CS2 is out. I've played it quite a bit. I guess most of you people have played it as well. I guess Oscar played it quite a bit already to get used to it. So, what's your first feelings of the game? Like, what do you feel about it?
Um, Those feelings is like it's good. It's like nice to have something new, especially like the small changes on some maps compared to others. Like Inferno is a lot different, which is always like a fresh thing. I just think it'll take a bit of getting used to, obviously, but like at the same time, there's a few aspects that aren't ready, and like I guess the full release of the game was a bit underwhelming to when it got announced, and everyone was excited for what that would look like compared to when it's been essentially released now. And we've got, I think today was the first sort of proper games. There's like a qualifier that happened today, so
Yeah.
that was just for first sort of games, and like the first tier one event is next week. I don't think it is as ready as it could be, but the CS:GO was the same when that came out. So
Yeah, I mean that's usually how it is with games, right? And I
yeah,
feel like it was a little bit stressed out, and maybe that was because they said like, okay, it's gonna be released this summer, and people were expecting it. Like, what
yeah.
was it like?
Well, the main thing I feel is that they want the PGL major in Denmark to
Yeah.
be the first CS2 major, and the qualifiers for that is in January.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. So they.
they had to release the game now,
Yeah, and
so that
especially since they already sold the tickets for the major. Like,
yeah,
I have tickets for that major, and I feel
yeah,
like if they would go back and like, yeah, sorry guys, the CS2 isn't ready. It's gonna be CS:GO. That would
yeah,
be a big backlash, since the whole
yeah,
thing with that is like, oh, it's the first CS2 major.
yeah. So force their hand a bit, to be honest.
Yeah. Since you say now as well, it's a little bit rushed and so on. Like, if we take some of the changes, like from CS:GO to CS2, is there anything specific that you dislike? It doesn't have to be that it's just unfinished, but maybe something they changed that you like feel like shouldn't have been changed from the older games.
Um, I think the only thing that I pick on quite a lot is the way that they've done flashbangs
Yeah,
in terms of how they look when they're in the air.
yeah,
So in CS:GO, if you saw a HE grenade or a flashbang in the sky, it would be quite small,
yeah.
and whereas a smoke would be bigger, so you know the difference. Whereas in this game, you don't know if it's a smoke, flash, or HE being thrown at you until it's too late. So like, and also like I feel like they've just done that so to make it easier for the noobs to see flashes and turn from them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's harder for people to be flashed because they can see it easier because it's like bigger objects on your screen, but also there'll be a smoke coming in and you'll think it's a flash. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I haven't really thought about it, but now when you say it, I know that I've been reacting the same thing, like the same
Yeah,
way it's when playing. And it's like just utility getting thrown at you, and you don't know what to do. You have no idea
yeah,
what it is. So maybe that's something they need to change in the future.
yeah.
But some more of with the utility as well. Like I would say the biggest utility change is definitely the smokes and how the smokes is acting and like showing up on the map. What do you think about that? Like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it?
I'm sort of undecided yet because I sort of want to see how it plays out. Sort of like because obviously when it first happened, they've even adjusted how the smokes act now to when it first happens. Like
Hmm,
shooting through the smokes doesn't really do too much now. But it'll be interesting. Like I say, it's always like it's like well, it's sort of a small change, but like it's also a big change in terms of a lot of the mares. Like outside on Nuke, you can now do like cross smokes with only two. You don't need three
yeah.
smokes. Same thing with Virgo. You do the two default smokes on A side, left and right side. You can now just do it with one smoke, like
Oh,
little
okay.
things like that. And then obviously how the smokes work with the nade, it makes nades a lot more valuable in the game.
Yeah.
People might not just chuck the nades at the start of the round. They're going to keep their nades for late rounds or after plants. Like you, if you have an after plant as a T, you keep a nade for when they get a smoke on the bomb, and you can just nade the bomb.
Yeah, it's
And then
definitely an interesting concept of like
yeah,
being able to bomb away, and I feel like, I mean, out of personal preference and like so on that I've done already, like we've been doing that even when I've been playing with randoms. Like you nade a smoke and you have like an AWP that peeks and just shoots through the smoke and so on. Like
yeah.
it definitely brings another interesting aspect that I think can be used in a lot of different ways. So it'll be interesting to see. But would also say that they're probably trying to make it a little bit easier with the smokes, since like a lot of the lineups, I feel like, okay, you're throwing it into a room or something, you don't
Oh
have to
yeah,
land
they're
as
sort
perfectly.
yeah, the smokes are a lot more forgiving,
Yeah,
especially like on ancient. as well. Like on B site, like the smokes would sometimes have a gap, but now they just fill the whole area, so it doesn't really matter where you're lining it up to us.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how long it takes before people really like starts like learning how to do kind of one ways either way and like
Yeah,
figure all of that out. Because
yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
no doubt it will happen with this as well. People
Of
will figure it
course,
out.
the util nerds. Yeah,
Something else that I would say is quite a big difference with CS2 is the sub tick on the servers now, instead
yeah,
of, as we said, speak about 64 tick on normal matchmaking servers, and then we have like 128 ticks on like Faceit and so on, that I guess you guys play with for most of the time when playing as a pro player. Do you
yeah.
really feel the difference? I know a lot of people is complaining about sub tick.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty like I think the two things that are really bad in the game at the moment is Pika's advantage. Like
Yeah,
you can wide swing something and you just win, and it's so hard to hit people while they're moving.
yeah.
And the subtake like dying behind walls, like it's I see compilations in 12 just people dying behind walls because like so. I'm not really sure. I don't really know how all that stuff works, for honest. I just hope they fix it. So
Yeah, because it was definitely an interesting thing to see that they at least try to do something. But I
yeah,
think a lot of people would be more happy if they just like gave in. It's like, okay, we're gonna put out 128 tick that people have asked for I don't know
yeah,
how many years. But of
yeah,
course, they needed to do something on their own. Maybe we get it better in the future. Maybe it works out. But
yeah. And then I to cheat as well, or maybe one day.
yeah, but yeah, it's definitely a big thing with, as you say as well, peak advantage and so on. And I would say a mix between that and also have made it a lot easier to like run and shoot is not a good
Yes.
combination. I don't know what's up with that.
The game's definitely more noob friendly, which is like essentially that's what most games try to do because obviously the money is mostly in casual players.
Yeah,
So
very true.
yeah,
With guns and so on, I don't know what you feel about it, but when I play the game and I'm like trying to spray and so on with the guns, it's something that doesn't click with me. It feels weird and I just
I
can't
think the
do it.
way I think what's happened is like sometimes it's a bit weird, but like when Faceit came out with the 128 tick servers, the spray wasn't that bad. So I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
really sure what. But like the other stuff, like they've changed the sound of the Famas and the Galil.
Yeah.
That's just the Famas or Galil is not better than an M4 or an AK. It's just the sound's different. It's like people say all the time. It's just the sound. It's just a plateau, or uh, it's like you'll see it like eventually be the same gun. It just sounds different. So
But yeah, so I mean, maybe it works better than on 128. Maybe that's just a part of the sub-tick issues as well.
yeah,
But
I
I
think
just
so
feel
for
like it
sure.
was quite a big difference from my perspective. But I'm also not the best player, so I might not be the one with the best points here either. And then if we go over a little bit to the maps and so on, of course,
Yeah,
the maps are kind of the same, but it's a lot different with like the lighting in the maps and so on.
yeah.
Do you prefer the new maps or do you prefer the older style of like
I
maybe a little bit darker and
I feel like it's all good. Like I think the only map that like in the map pool that got like a really big overhaul and is sort of played a bit differently now is Inferno. I
yeah,
think all the other maps are pretty much just left alone. Generally, they're just like reskinned or whatever.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, apart from that, like I'm not a big fan of the lighting because especially on Ancient, there's a lot and Nuke inside. There's lots of like angles which are just completely different now, which I don't think they needed to do, but
yeah.
we'll see. Like I see people like see shadows thinking they're people on the floor and they start like
Oh,
moving their crosshairs. Like
yeah.
it's confusing a lot of people.
Yeah, I've even had teammates shooting at their own shadows and getting scared of it. I'm like
Yep,
losing clutches because of that.
yep.
So that's something to see. But also something I've seen like going around Twitter a lot is the question: if you can bring back one of the old maps, any map, what map would you like to see like in competitive matchmaking again?
I think it's a bit harder for me because when I started playing competitively, that was pretty much when Brain was there and then it got removed.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like Train. Um, I didn't like Dust, and then that got removed. That's the only two maps that have been properly removed, right?
Cobblestone as
Because
well.
Cobblestone. So yeah, I mean, even Cobblestone, I never played that competitive, but Cobblestone was a nice map. So if
Yeah.
anything, but probably Cash,
Yeah.
because Cash, I was plugging Cash a lot, so
Oh,
I'd
that's
probably say
true.
Cash.
Yeah, I would definitely say Cache or Cobblestone as well. I like both of those maps. I
Yeah,
have a lot of memories from like playing on those as well. As well with like rounds and so on. Of course, we swapped now from BO30 to BO24, going back to what I think we played like back in 1.6 and so on.
Yeah.
Which system do you prefer? Do you like the shorter maps or?
I mean, definitely for the like pugs and matchmaking games I've played, it's definitely nice. I haven't played a competitive game MR12 yet, so I like when the game really means something, like and you lose both pistols and then like the game's over and you're only playing best of one. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would assume it's not going to be ideal. But like at the same time, it opens up the discussion where people are saying nothing should be best of ones anymore, at least because like you can maybe do a best of three in an hour and a half,
Yeah.
which does make sense. But yeah, we'll see.
And that could definitely be interesting for, I guess, the viewers and the players as well, because we get more maps into it. Instead of like a
Yeah.
BO1, you play one map.
I reckon you'll see. I reckon with MR12, we'll probably see a lot more best of fives. I'd
Oh,
say
okay. That's
as
going to be interesting to
finals,
see.
as
It's going to be
finals, yeah.
interesting.
Because the only thing that are best of five finals now is the IEM events. They're the only things that are best of fives, pretty
Yeah, and I
much.
mean,
So
from what I've heard, the pros doesn't even like playing best out of five
no,
events.
they
So,
don't. So
maybe they like don't dislike it as much now with the shorter games. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
I heard now you said you haven't really played any competitive and so on, maybe, or have you been
Yeah,
grinding any Premiere?
just like yeah, Premier and Face It. So
Yeah.
but like there's a sort of chill play with friends, like an actual official game. I'm yet to play
Oh,
on
okay.
CS2, so we'll see.
Yeah. So what do you think about the new like Premiere system? Because we see they're trying to like kind of bring in, I guess, the Face It system and so on into matchmaking, which I
Yeah,
guess is a way to try to get the players playing Face It in CS:GO to like get back into Valve's
yeah.
official servers. Do you think it's a
It
good
was a
mix
good
up?
it was a good idea, but until they get an anti-cheat and 128 tick servers, they're never going to be the same as Face It. So it doesn't matter what they do.
Yeah,
So
so we're basically back to the CS:GO
yeah,
situation. It's like, okay, we need the tick system, we need the better sheet
like
system.
I reckon Face It were really scared of what Valve were cooking up, and they're laughing to themselves now with what Valve have produced. They're
Yep.
like, and Face It just like because like Face It have revamped their whole stuff because
Oh,
like
okay.
they wanted to. I assume they were getting ready to like battle against Valve for like the matchmaking players, but like they don't have needed to do anything.
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing I've seen being issues with Face It is to have everything up and running with updates, but I guess that's just something with a new game as well, and they just
Yeah,
need to get it all sorted out and it should be all good. It's gonna be interesting to see if Valve actually can win the fight over Face It once in for
yeah.
all in one day.
It's
It
just
seems hard.
abnormal. Like lots of other games, like it's just unheard of that comparatively play on a third party platform. You don't play on the game. You
Yeah,
play on a third party website. People don't understand that.
it's an interesting situation for sure. Back with just in general, like changes and so on we've seen in the game. Is there anything that you would like to have like be changed? Of course, we talked about the tick system and so on, but is there anything else you would like maybe that was in CS:GO or maybe that haven't been in
I think
CS:GO either?
the money system probably needs to be changed a bit, especially around pistols
Yeah,
and T's getting bomb plant on a pistol round and how all that works. I think that probably needs to be looked at. I got no idea what to suggest, but
yeah.
just something. So
So is it that you feel like, especially with a bomb plant, that you have too much money after the first pistol round, or
it's just like there is quite punishing to be a CT if you lose the first. If you lose the pistol,
you?
or even if you win the pistol, then you lose the second round because they got bomb plants. They all have galils. Like I feel like yeah, as in it's weird. It's hard to compete as a
Yeah.
CT, especially if you like, especially in MR12 now when you're gonna have if you lose pistol, and you lose first gun rounds, then you're like you're 0-5 down before you
Yeah.
have your second gun round, and then you've only got 7 rounds and a half left.
That's definitely something that surprised me as well. That like they shorten the games, but they don't change the money system at all. Like they
Yeah,
should try to even it out with the shorter matches to make it more viable.
yeah.
Back a little bit as well to CS:GO now. I want to know like what's some of your favorite memories from the CS:GO era?
I mean, like two milestones for me is probably like when I got 2K low on Face It, so level
Yeah.
10 on Face It. I remember that, and when I got 4K low, that was quite an achievement for me as well. Um, Apart from that, obviously, like getting to travel to places with teams like before 7 a.m. and then with 7 a.m. getting to travel to all the places we've been
Yeah.
to, that's definitely like a big. Can't really say I've won anything. I've come second a lot, so come like second 8 times. So maybe that, but yeah,
I mean, if you haven't won anything, I still remember like especially one game watching you guys. I was away on a winter trip with my friends, and I forced my friends to watch this game because you guys were playing against Navi Junior.
yeah,
And I was so excited. I was like, they're playing against such a big team. Even if it's the junior team, it's still like such a big team backed by a huge organization. And I
Yeah.
forced my friends to watch this whole game. And it was so many delays in the game as well.
Yeah.
Thanks to Navi. But you guys won. I think you won 2-0, right?
I think we did, yeah.
Like that was such an insane moment for me of like seeing like, okay, this is so cool to see that you guys can actually like win over these huge organizations that have
Yeah.
so much behind them, even if it's the junior team. So what's the favorite trip you've done thanks to CSGO?
It would have probably been to Philadelphia with 7 a.m. for Philadelphia. That was
Yep.
the best LAN I've been to, and it was a good experience all around.
All the shit talking from the opponents.
Yeah. Yep.
I've heard a lot about it. But that's
was fun.
cool. I can imagine that. So now going back to CS2, I mean we're just beginning. It's probably gonna be a lot of years of this game, right? What's your future goals with it? What's the short time goals, the long time goals? What are your ideas?
Ooh, I'm not too sure. There'll be some more. I'm not sure when this video will come out, but there'll be more sort of information on my future tomorrow. There's an announcement tomorrow. But for me, it's just like just keep on doing what I was doing in terms of just grinding. Like I'd spend lots of hours every day on the game. I get to travel around the world to playing this game, so just keep on doing that.
Yeah, so as you guys heard, there will be official statements tomorrow, and this video will be out most likely on Thursday, so that will be yesterday. All of his links in the descriptions. Check him out and support him because he's a great guy. But that's
you.
basically the questions I have.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for doing this interview. It's always fun
Thank you
to
for
have a
having me.
chat with you and get a little bit more of an insight into your mind of the game and like a pro player's view of a new game like this.
Yeah. It was good. Thank you for having me.
So I just want to say huge good luck with everything going onwards and go win some games.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.